Hi, everyone. This is Konstantin, and I'm Ellen. And we've been hard at work with other teams at Shopify working on a new concept, App Extensions. If you have any questions during this talk, feel free to open up the app, use the code Unite, and select Track 1 Building, and we'll get to the questions at the end. We're going to talk about why we are excited for apps to extend into Shopify. Why do we care? You heard all about it on day one. Merchants rely on your apps to effectively run and grow their businesses. Unfortunately, for any given merchant, going from Shopify to one app, back to Shopify into another app, gets jarring. Switching context and workflows can be challenging at scale. Imagine a ton of tabs, windows, all with different interfaces and serving different purposes. Whether you're a Shopify merchant or a Shopify partner, switching context is exhausting. You all intuitively know this, and that's why so many of you build embedded apps that load inside of Shopify Admin. This time last year, 53% of all published apps were embedded apps loading inside of Admin. And today, that number is 62%. Well over half of all published apps load inside of Shopify Admin, so that merchants never have to leave their business workspace or have their workflows interrupted. Many of you also use Shopify Polaris. We built and shared this design system last year so that you can easily take the Shopify interface and use it in your apps. In turn, merchants get a seamless, familiar, and approachable interface, whether it's built by Shopify or built by you. Some of your apps also use admin links. Admin links can be set up on any Shopify admin resource page and point directly to your app. Data gets sent along with it, so your app knows exactly which product the merchant was editing, for example. Set up from the partner dashboard, admin links are one way to bring your apps closer to merchants when and where they need it. There's a good reason why we've given you tools like admin links, Polaris, and the EA SDK, or Embedded App SDK. There are 3 ways you can lower the barrier for merchants using your apps. Admin links enable more streamlined app workflows. Polaris enables more familiar interface experiences. And finally, using the Embedded App SDK means that merchants have an easier time going between Shopify and your apps. We're doing all of this to simplify complex workflows for merchants using your apps and for you building them. Merchant experience and success is important to you, just as it's central to our mission at Shopify. It's why we built these tools, and it's also why we're excited to give you more. Today, Konstantin and I are excited to share with you 2 big changes. The first is that we've redesigned the entire experience of building apps from the partner dashboard. What used to be a disjointed experience between the partner dashboard, API documentation, forums, documentation, and more is now one streamlined experience for all your app development needs. We're giving you more context so you can build apps with ease and confidence. And here's the new experience. This is the partner dashboard. When you create a new app, you can now pick which areas of Shopify you want to build for. Shopify admin, point of sale, online store, flow, kit, it's your choice. In this example, I'm building an app called Easy Reviews, and I've selected Shopify admin and Shopify flow. The partner dashboard now gives me everything I need to build my app, from easy access to API credentials, OAuth tutorials, getting started on Shopify admin, sample apps, using Polaris, getting started on Shopify flow, learning all about it. It's all a click away. And this is all personalized based on the areas of Shopify you want to build for. The partner dashboard also now has easier app testing. So with one click, I can install my app on any of my development stores and see exactly what merchants see. That's how the partner dashboard has been redesigned to give you all the context you need to build a great app. That was our first announcement. And our second will bring your apps closer to merchants than ever before. Your apps will operate seamlessly within the Shopify interface. With App Extensions, we are entrusting you to deeply integrate into Shopify and extend your apps into Shopify in a totally new way. Admin links are a simple example of how we've natively surfaced apps within Shopify in the past, but this is only scratching the surface. With App Extensions, we are taking this one big step further. App Extensions will enable your apps to seamlessly integrate into Shopify across any and every Shopify interface. From Shopify Admin, to point of sale, to Kit, Flow, online store, and more. We are giving you more trust than ever before by bringing your apps to the forefront of merchant workflows. Konstantin will walk you through the inner workings of App Extensions.
Thanks. App Extensions enable you to deeply integrate your apps into Shopify. They allow you to directly extend into Shopify UI and control aspects of merchant workflows. The result is a seamless and streamlined merchant experience. You can think of App Extensions as the counterpart to our APIs. When using an API, it is your app that initiates the data transfer. When using App Extensions, however, this is different. With App Extensions, Shopify pushes data to your app as merchants execute certain workflows. This is fundamental to understanding App Extensions. So let's go over this one more time. Here we have the merchant to the left, Shopify to the right, and your app in the middle. As the merchant interacts with your app requests data or pushes data to Shopify. With App Extensions, this is different. As you can see, in this scenario, Shopify and your app traded places. The merchant now exclusively interacts with Shopify, and it is Shopify that pushes data to your app. It is Shopify that ensures a consistent, familiar experience independent of the app the merchant is interacting with. Some of you might already have thought, hey, this sounds really familiar. It's called the Hollywood principle. Don't call us, we will call you. And this is indeed a very applicable way to think about App Extensions, as it is Shopify that initiates the data transfer. The upside? A lot less work on your end. We are, for instance, taking care of error handling. And we also make sure that the UI we render on your behalf always adheres to our latest product and design philosophy. All to the end to build one seamless merchant experience that blurs the lines between Shopify and your app, yet always keeping the merchant informed whether they are interacting with your app or with Shopify. App Extensions provide merchants with consistent, familiar workflows. That means instead of going back and forth between apps and Shopify, merchants can now interact with apps directly through Shopify. We've packed a lot of flexibility into App Extensions so that you can build powerful and seamless merchant experiences. App Extensions are a powerful addition to your app development toolkit. And Shopify APIs and App Extensions work great together. As we increase the extensibility of our platform, we will be heavily investing in both of those concepts.
We've been building extensions across Shopify for your apps to extend into. These extensions are deeply integrated into merchant workflows, easy for merchants to use, and easy for you to build on. Among them, we are incredibly excited to announce app extensions for Shopify Flow. You heard about it on day one. They're called Flow Connectors. Shopify Flow is an e-commerce automation tool that enables Plus merchants to offload repetitive tasks so they can focus more on the hard business problems. Flow is simple yet powerful. Since its launch last September, it has powered over 150 million merchant workflows, and here's how it works. Workflows consist of triggers, conditions, and actions. Triggers are used to determine when an action should run. Conditions are used to determine which action should be taken. And finally, a workflow is complete once all actions have been executed. This is all really easy to set up from Shopify Flow. But what's even better is apps can now build custom triggers and actions with Flow connectors, one example of app extensions. With extensions, apps can connect easily into Shopify Flow, connect with other apps, and unpack a ton of potential for merchant task automation and merchant success. Over the next few minutes, Konstantin and I will walk through step-by-step how you can set up your own custom actions and triggers. It starts from the partner dashboard. With your app settings open up, navigate to the extensions page and click on the Shopify Flow tab. And from there, you'll be able to set up your own actions and triggers. Call them whatever you want, add your own description, customize your data properties. And on the right-hand side, you will be able to see a preview of the payload data that Shopify will send your app for your app to respond to. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can also see a preview of what the merchant sees when they are using Shopify Flow, so you can ensure that you're building a great experience for merchants. Konstantin will walk you through the code you'll need to set up next.
Let's start by looking into how your app can trigger a workflow. Imagine we are building easy reviews, a simple review app. Whenever a customer creates a new review, our app will submit a trigger. Triggering a workflow is as simple as making an API call. You can either use REST or GraphQL. In this example, I'm using the REST API, and I broke down the example into 2 steps for easier understanding. Let's start by talking about the JSON payload we are expecting. The payload, in the case of this review, includes the rating as well as the review itself. We will see in a moment how this data comes in handy when configuring a workflow. Let's talk a moment about the payload properties and what data you should include. The short answer is everything you think is useful to the merchant when they configure a workflow. Everything you supply as part of the trigger payload can be used to set up conditions, and it can also be forwarded to another app using an action. When building triggers, try to anticipate how your data could be used by the merchant or by another app developer. With the payload all set up, we are ready to make the API call. We simply send the payload as JSON to Flow's receive endpoint. As always, the API call has to be authenticated using the shop's access token. And that's really it. It's a 2-step process. You prepare the payload, and you make the API call. Executing an action is just as simple. Let me show you how your app can respond to a Flow action. This example uses Node instead of Ruby, but it could just as well be PHP, Java, or any other programming language with good support for building web applications. In this example, I'm using the Express framework. The first step is to load the library and create a new app by calling the Express function. And then we are ready to set up our app to respond to Flow. All we have to do is register a new URL handler for the URL we specified in the partner's dashboard earlier. And all the endpoint needs to do is validate that the request comes from us, process the input parameters, and perform the actual action. And that's all the code you need. As you can see, extending your app into Flow is straightforward and requires very little code. Most of the configuration is done in the partner's dashboard. You only have to write the code that either triggers the workflow or executes the action. After all this theory, let me walk you through a more concrete example. Titan Plus is a large and thriving Shopify Plus merchant. A big part of their success has been prioritizing customer satisfaction. Titan Plus takes pride in reaching out to every customer who leaves a negative review to see if there's anything they can do to make them happier. Staying on top of reviews is a challenging task for their customer service department. It's a lot of manual work. With Flow, App Extensions, and the right apps, this changes. App Extensions connect your apps to Flow and through Flow with each other. With Flow, App Extensions, and the right apps, Titan Plus can make sure that they never miss a review. Let me show you how. Say I'm one of their employees and I just opened up Flow from the Shopify admin. Creating a workflow that is triggered by an app works just like creating any other workflow. It starts by selecting a trigger. One app that Titan Plus is using is our app, Easy Reviews. It shows up side by side with Flow's built-in triggers. And the trigger is exactly what I'm looking for. I want our customer service department to be notified whenever we receive a new review we should follow up on. So I select New Review. As I said earlier, we're taking pride in reaching out to every customer who has a bad experience with one of our products. The easiest way to identify these customers is to filter reviews by their rating. So I'll add a condition. Easy Reviews conveniently supplies the rating as part of the trigger payload. To filter for negative reviews, all I have to do is compare the rating to a number. Whenever a customer leaves a one-star review, we should follow up. So I'll set the condition to a review rating of 1. There. Next, all we have to do is set up the action to take when we receive such a review. Support Plus is another app we are using. Just like before, the app actions show up side by side with Flow's own actions. I want to create a support ticket every time we receive a one-star review. So I select the trigger action. This action takes 2 fields, a title and a description. To ensure our customer service department can quickly act on the ticket, I'm including the customer's name as well as the product name as part of the description using Liquid. Just like the rating, this data is made available by Easy Reviews as part of the trigger payload. And that's it. Using Flow, I was able to connect 2 apps to each other and implement an entirely new business process that would otherwise have required a dedicated app.
We've walked through the developer experience of setting up app extensions for Flow. We've also walked through the merchant experience of using these app extensions. So now Konstantin and I are going to walk through a demo. For this demo, we've proudly partnered with Nanoleaf, a Shopify Plus merchant that sells smart programmable light panels. You can see them mounted on this podium right here. We've done this to demonstrate just how easy and flexible it is to use app extensions and Flow.
I have set up an online store that uses Flow to give me a pulse of how my business is doing. Every time a customer makes an order, the lights in my office respond. You'll see in a minute what I mean.
So say I'm a customer browsing Konstantin's online store from my phone. I love this Unite t-shirt, so I'm going to add it to my cart. I hit checkout.
Nice. As you can see, the lights just lit up, my first order of the day.
Now say I want to buy a t-shirt for every member of my team. That's 20 t-shirts coming to a total of $400. I update my quantity, and I hit checkout.
Nice. That's a big order.
Now say I want to buy a t-shirt for every person in this room. That's 300 t-shirts, coming to a total of $6,000. So I update the quantity, and I add it to cart. I hit checkout.
Can you see all those colors? That's an order over $500.
And now you can see, you can collect your own free Unite t-shirt from the on-site fulfillment truck at any time.
What you've just seen here is powered entirely by Flow and App Extensions. The trigger we are using is built into Flow. It's order created. The conditions are based on the total value of the order. And the action is running a light sequence using Nanoleaf smart lights and a small app we built.
Flow is an efficiency powerhouse of an app. It's why merchants love using it so much, and it's why we're excited for apps to extend into it. You can build actions and triggers of your own, just like how we've outlined today, and increase usage and adoption of your apps like never before. And while we've talked a lot about Shopify Flow and Flow connectors, there's a lot more. We're working with other teams in Shopify to make the platform extensible. Kyle and Ellen will talk later today about marketing activities and kit skills. We're also working with order fulfillment so that apps can build rich, fully integrated fulfillment experiences for merchants too. And there will be more. As our teams release new features for merchants to use, we will also release new extensions for developers to build on. Our commitment to extensibility is our commitment to you.
Ellen and I have walked through a lot of content those past few minutes, so let's take a moment to recap. With App Extensions, you can build deep integrations into Shopify, and it is easier than ever. Your apps will seamlessly appear within Shopify workflows, all while being in line with our design and product philosophy, being it on mobile or the web. App Extensions bring your app closer to the merchant. App Extensions also provide an entirely new way for your app to communicate with Shopify. They are the counterpart to our APIs. And instead of you pulling data from Shopify, we push data to your app when it is relevant for your app. And to make it easier than ever to get started and build with confidence, we've redesigned the entire developer experience in the Partners dashboard. It's packed with tools and resources that will simplify your day-to-day app development. And we are just getting started. As Ellen just mentioned, apps will be able to extend into other parts of the platform, such as fulfillment, kit, marketing, and many more. We are so excited to share App Extensions with you, and we are committed to growing the integration possibilities as we increase the extensibility of our platform. Connectors for Flow are the first app extensions we are launching, and they are available today in the Partners dashboard. Start tinkering with them. More extensions will be coming later this year. Stay tuned for that and for the new developer experience we are launching this month. If you want to learn more about app extensions, find us here at Unite. Ellen and I would love to have a chat. We can't wait to see what you build with app extensions, and together we can make commerce better for everyone. Just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please submit your questions using the code Unite and selecting Track 1 Building.
The first question comes from Gerwin. Will Flow be available to lower plans than Plus? We have a couple people in the room that work on Shopify Plus and Flow exclusively. I recommend that you reach out to them. They're waving their hands in the back right there. So definitely reach out to them if you have any questions specific to Plus and Flow. Next question is anonymous. How are app extensions different from the current app links in the partner dashboard?
They are, in fact, very similar, but we took app extensions one step further. We were basically inspired by the idea of admin links, but we wanted app extensions to be fully integratable into entire workflows, and not just the UI.
So where currently app links, once you click on them, you get sent to the app, a more integrated experience would be for that functionality to be on the same page, so you would never have to leave the orders page or product page or whatever page you might be working on. The next question is, can I test Flow on my development store?
Yes, you can.
Next question comes from Brian. Is it possible to share Flow workflows? It is currently, in terms of custom actions and triggers, it is currently not possible to share Flow workflows, but this is something in early development still, and we are, again, if you have questions specific to Flow, all the right people are back there to answer them. Will the Shopify apps, like product reviews, use extensions to push data to other apps?
That's a good question. And again, that's probably something we would ideally ask the people who work on that. We personally haven't looked into extending the apps that are built in-house using app extensions.
App extensions are a concept that an entire framework that we are rolling out internally, and Flow has been using it. Kit and other teams that we mentioned today are using it as well. So in terms of specific apps that we've built internally, that's up to the smaller teams to decide for themselves. Let's see, I think there's one more question. Can I create the actual flow using APIs without having the merchant create it through the UI?
Not to my knowledge, and again, flow-specific questions are best directed to the people in the audience that
The
build
flow experts. How are app extensions being discovered by merchants? I think this is a fantastic question. Merchants are just going through their workflows, whether it's fulfilling an order or managing their marketing. They're not necessarily discovering app extensions. They're not necessarily installing app extensions. They're using your apps, and your apps happen to be there. So as merchants are going through their workflows, they will be able to tell which functionality is provided by apps, which functionality is native to Shopify, but it will not be a forefront UI badge or anything. Like we're not going to make it obvious. We want to keep it subtle, and at the same time make it clear that it's an app carrying out that functionality and not Shopify. If there are any more questions, I'm going to just refresh quickly. It does not look like there's one last question. As an app developer, we normally integrate directly with other apps to set triggers and actions. Is Flow a better way? What's the benefit?
Flow could definitely be one way to integrate with another app, but you have to keep in mind, as an app developer, you are currently controlling the integration. If you use Flow, it would be the merchant controlling the integration, and that can be really powerful to the merchant, but gives you, at the moment, less control over how you would the integration to be.
I think it also empowers the merchant to connect your app to the apps they already use and love. So instead of having to do a bunch of manual integrations yourself, by setting up Flow connectors, merchants can connect to whatever apps they want. Thank you for all your questions and for your attention today. We'll be here, so if you have any more, come find us, and we're happy to chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.